Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbi Alameen. Ashhadu la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammad abduhu wa rasuluh. I seek refuge in Allah from the rejected enemy Shaitan. With Allah's name, the most merciful benefactor, the most merciful redeemer. All praise is due to Allah alone. I bear witness, there is no deity worthy of worship except Allah. And Muhammad, to whom the Quran was revealed 1400 years ago, is his servant, his messenger, to mankind. Allah says in the Quran, in Surah Al-Asr, about the time, well, Asr, in the Lisan al-Afikus, where Allah is talking about man. And depending on the different interpretations that you would read in English, if you read the Arabiya, depending on what you come up with in terms of understanding the term Asri. How some interpret that, they interpret it as, in some Qur'ans they add by the token. So by the token of time through the ages. Token of time and through the ages are added by the interpreter. You may see it that way. You may not see it that way. And that's a good question you should ask yourself. How do you see it? How do you see the statements in the Quran when you read the Quran? How do you see it? How do you understand that? And the reason that's not just an inquiry, I'm just not inquiring this. It's important because the evidence show that that's what's going to count. What's going to count is how you see Quran and how you respond to what you see. That's what's going to count. Here Allah is saying, by time. And when we look at the concept itself, time. Time is part of the creation. It's a creation. Allah created time. Without time and motion, we have nothing. It is time that causes everything to come into existence, and it causes everything to grow and get old, and it is time that does that. And Allah created the time when He created the creation. Now, He explains it in many ayats and other surahs. And it's important for us to realize the power that's involved in this. Allah tells us not only did He create time, He tells us that we all have a certain amount of time. See, everything has a time. There's a time limit. There's a time limit to our lives. We don't know. There was a time to bring us into existence. You didn't force yourself to come into existence. You didn't say, it's time for me to be born in March, or March 6, 1942. I'm coming on in here. See, we didn't do that. Allah created that whole scenario, that our parents would come together at a particular time Everything is based on time. If the timing of our parents is off just one day, possibly even 1 hour, we wouldn't have been here. So time is so very important. And Allah goes on to say that verily man is at loss, meaning man really is not grasping this and could lose his way. Especially when we don't understand the concept. And then he says, except those who have faith. Amanu, faith. Those who have faith. Have you thought much about faith? What do you think about faith? Now, the way some of the scholars put faith, they put this term amanu and faith in same concepts as we use belief. It say amanu also means belief. And when we talk about sadaqah, giving of yourself, come out that same kind of thinking. Faith. But let me just propose this to you for a moment. That faith is the beginning. Faith is the beginning of your belief. Not just that faith and belief are the same, synonymous. Faith is the beginning of your belief. Before you believe something, you have to have faith in the fact that it might exist. This is what Ibrahim had. Ibrahim had faith. He didn't believe in Allah. He didn't say, I believe in Allah, so Father, I'm not going with what you're doing. No, he said, well, what you're doing doesn't make sense. I just cannot go along with that. He was operating out of faith. This is why Allah says man is at loss except for those who have faith. And once you have faith, you're going to search. You're going to search because your faith then drives you to search. Your faith drives you to search for the answer that you think you have faith in and why you have faith. And once you start finding some of those answers, then you do the same as Ibrahim did. You say, I believe. I believe. This is when the part in the Quran where you read where Ibrahim said, surely I turned myself. Surely. That's without a doubt. Without a doubt. He's saying there are no doubts about this. This is not maybe I'm thinking about it. This is not that. When he used that word, inna, he's not talking about maybe this is going to happen. He's saying, without a doubt, I turned myself being upright. The term hanif, that's another meaning even they use in terms of when they're talking about amanu. They also use millah when they're talking about that term. Ibrahim was saying that by my faith, I searched all through the stars and everything. I searched all this material world. Now, I'm beyond faith. I believe there is no deity except Allah. And he's greater than all of this. I believe that. I believe it with all my heart, my soul. I'm going to give everything for that. This is why he said my life, my death, my prayers and my sacrifice are all for Allah. That's belief. He's moved beyond faith now. Now he's believing because he's given up everything. Giving up everything. Then he says, and this is when you know that Allah helps us to understand when we find ourselves in this very similar position. Then he says, he's not of the polytheists. He's not of those who don't follow the nature in which Allah created them. They're following something else. This is what that means. This is what Hanif is talking about. He's following the nature in which Allah created the human being. He's not following statues and make-believe things that they make with their hands. And then he says, I am of those who submit. Some writers say that really means the first of those who submit. But the word is Muslim. I am a Muslim. It's what he's saying. I am, my conscious mind, my conscious effort is going to follow the nature in which you created me. You created me in the nature that's being upright. That's Muslim. Submitting to Allah is Muslim. Submitting your will to Allah is Muslim. So our nature is Muslim. I'm consciously going to be in that nature. My conscious mind going to follow that upright nature. That makes us Muslim. Now, I said that this has something, we want to consider some of this dealing with us specifically, although we use old stories to tell us about those things. But what about us? What about you? What about your commitment to the nature in which Allah created you? I don't mean sometimes. See, sometimes it doesn't work. You know how when we come to Ramadan, we're getting ready to enter Ramadan another couple months. You come to Ramadan, you know, you say, I'm fasting. But you really are not fasting for us. Or I'm not fasting for you. You're not fasting for me. You fasting for yourself because your Lord says so. And the only one can judge that and see that is your Lord. Allah is the only one that knows whether you fasting or not. And it's that kind of empowerment that Allah gives each of us when it comes down to this Quran. When it comes down to following this Quran, He empowers each and every one of us to be able to read it, understand what we can of it, and follow that which we understand. Empowerment. You know, you hear a lot of that kind of talk today in the world, motivational speakers, people who are trying to drive a point home about how you can make a lot of money, how you can advance your career. That term empowerment, what they're saying is that you have the control. You have the control. But you know that they weren't the first to say that. I don't care what speakers you hear. I don't care how many conferences you go to. I don't care what you do. You will not find any of them who invented motivation. You will not find any who invented inspiration. That all comes from Allah. Motivation, the power you have in you to make you move. Allah did that. Man would have never stood up off the floor or come out of the deserts or come out of the trees if had not it been for the motivation that Allah had put in man. He motivated man to change his environment. That's where the motivation comes from. It doesn't come from these so-called wise men, these great educators. No, it comes straight from Allah. And if you understand that, you read it, you see it in the nature, then that motivates you. Because then you know your Lord is supporting you on every step you make. And who can fail if Allah is supporting? That's the power that Allah gives us, that empowerment. You should be able to say, I'm going to be successful. Say, why? Because my Lord said so. And my Lord said if I put forth the right efforts, He's going to support my efforts. He didn't create me to fail. He didn't create me to walk and wander along the streets. He didn't create me to be somebody else's darky or lackey. He created me to be successful at the dream and heart that's in me. Who says that better than Allah coming from this Quran? He created man to toil. I remember we went over toil in jihad, one of our khutbahs. How some take jihad as a struggle, meaning to things are hard, things are miserable. And it's plain that Allah says Jihad is the power that Allah put in us to make us successful. That we can overcome obstacles. That's what the word means. Overcoming the obstacle, it could be just your fear. A lot of people are not successful not because they don't have the ability, not because they don't have the talent, not because they can't get hold of the things necessary. They don't have the wherewithal to be successful because of fear. Some people don't want to take the chance of changing their situation. Some people say, like we went over the story with Jonah, he didn't want to take the chance. Some people don't want to take the chance. No, I'm doing all right. I better not try that. And they got it in their heart they would like to do thus and such. Then some people don't want to lose what they got. And then some people have been told no so long. They've been told so many times that they cannot be by the society, by the people around them, by even their own relatives and friends, telling them, no, you cannot do that. And they've told them that so long, they begin to believe it. They believe less in Allah and more in that they cannot do. Because when you believe in Allah, that means what? That means now you trust in Allah. And if you believe in Allah, you have faith, you believe in Allah, you trust in Allah, then you trust that when you step forward, Allah is going to be protecting you. You're going to trust that when you move forward, your Lord is going to be with you. When you go out and get into business, you believe your Lord is with you. You got to trust that. You got to trust your Lord will not let you down. Even if you have to try that more than one time. That's trust. That's trust. And that's all Allah asks. Allah asks, he says, trust in me. No, don't even worry about your partner or your school or wherever you come from. Don't worry about that. Trust in me. If you trust in me, all of the other things will come. You know, when you read Surah Al-Baqarah, when it says, Allah says that this is the book, Dali Kitabul Arabi, when you're talking about this is the book, in it is guidance. And he goes on and says, those who move forward. Then he says, a group. They can't move forward. They can only move forward in the light. And if you snatch away the light, they stand still. That means they have no trust. That means they have no faith. So they don't believe they can move in the darkness. You see, when they have faith and they trust in Allah, you move forward. Do you know half of the world wouldn't even be in existence if those who explored the world didn't trust that there was something on the other side? Or trust in their gut feeling? See, that's what they be going in. See, that's Allah inside us. They trust in their gut feeling. Like, oh, that's something on the other side of this water here. I don't know what it is. I've never seen it. But I believe it's there. All the science, the developments come out of that trust. And that trust, Allah is the originator of the idea of trusting, giving of yourself because you believe it's going to happen. You trust that. You know, you've heard people say, go ahead and do that. Trust me, it's right. That's what they're saying. They're saying that, trust me. I know it's good for you. Even your parents might have said that to you. Might have said that, I know what I'm talking about, boy. See, I've had mine talk to me like that. I know what I'm talking about. Go ahead and do it. That's what he's saying. When he's saying, when your parents say, I know what I'm talking about, go ahead and do that. He's saying, trust me, because I have the experience. I have everything necessary for you not to make a mistake because I did it. I know who did it. Go ahead and do it. That's trust. Now, do we have that kind of trust? We have to ask ourselves. Now that's the question I'm asking each of us. Do we have that kind of trust? Okay. We say here, look at the streets of America. You don't have to go in the urban area, the suburban areas and clean up those streets, because those people have enough conscience in those suburban areas to clean up their own streets. No, we don't have to put no effort out for that, because we trust that they know what they're doing when it comes down to building a community. But look at the streets in Elizabeth, Jersey City, Chicago, Miami, in those areas where people are being shot down and not enough food to go around and no jobs. Do we just stand by as people of faith and say, okay, we can't solve that problem? Or do we trust that Allah said we can change this world, let alone the streets of Elizabeth? He said we can change the world. Do we trust that? We have to look deep into ourselves, each of us. What are we doing to make the world better? Now, we know we're supposed to be doing something to make ourselves better. We know we're supposed to be eating right, thinking right, and doing all the kind of things that we do for our individual selves. But we are not just individuals. We are individuals who are made into a community. Allah uses ummah to define us. He uses the word collectively. Even when you say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, even when you say your Fatiha, there is no I in Fatiha. Show us. Guide us. Us. You can't go in the Fatiha and say, guide me, I don't want to go astray, like those who went astray. That's not the Fatiha when you do that. It's us. It's we. Because we're ummah. The world is an ummah. And the ummah that's going to change the world into be a better ummah is this ummah. Do you trust that? Do you trust that? Do you trust that the fact that Allah said that this is the exemplary community, the ummah, that will affect and change the rest of the world to be peaceful, to be in al-Islam? And if you understand that word, al-Islam, you know it's not talking about war. You know it's talking about people who can live together, work together, and build a better society. Do you trust that? Do you trust it enough to work toward it? Do you trust it enough to make it change? These are the kind of questions we have to ask ourselves. You know, because we don't have to keep looking in the mirror and say, I'm Muslim, and say, your brother, assalamu alaikum, Muslim, you Muslim. We don't have to keep doing that. Everybody in the world agrees that you are Muslim. Everybody agrees I'm a Muslim. We don't have to keep convincing ourselves that we're Muslim. What are we doing as a Muslim? What counts? Now we are on the starting line for this race. Race ye, run ye, all as if you're in a race. For all that is good. That's what we have to trust. We have to trust, and we have to start doing those things that make this a better world. We have to trust that. Now, I know there's a lot of violence going on. I know people are being shot down in the streets. And I know that Muslims are killing Muslims. Almost like gang warfare. You know, when you go to some of these cities, they have gang warfare. One gang against another. It's not bad as it used to be. Now they have different little groups going on. They have little small groups. Like little 5, 10 people that hang out together. Not as formal as a particular group, a gang. But over in the world, we have Muslims, Shiite, Sunni, killing each other for territory, for control, for who's in power. They're not killing each other to follow the Quran. Nobody is beating down the door and say, let's follow the Quran. Nobody is beating down the door to say, okay, put everything you got, all your ideologies and all your concepts of what you think should be, put them on the wall for a minute. Let's follow this Quran. Let's come together and counsel on the Quran. You know the Muslims are the one people on the earth can do that. We have to convince other people to do that. We shouldn't have to convince ourselves to drop all these peace treaties, to drop all these things against one another, and just start with the Quran. And let's see if we can come together on the Quran. We got to trust it. We must trust in Allah. We must trust in Allah. You know, that's one of the vital religious value. When we talk about religious values, trust is one of the main ones. Trust. You see, man has been struggling to come up with ideas and concepts to make a better life for himself. And when we look back in history, some of the early men did way in Africa and other places, in Egypt, we find that those civilizations had religions, and they also had hierarchies. And in their hierarchies, they usually had a golden rule, let's say. Use that term, golden rule. They have a set of laws that they live by. And when they were in Egypt, the pharaohs, they had a long list of I didn't do. In order for them to, in their ideology, in order for the pharaoh to pass over into the next life, he had to answer some questions. And those questions would be, did you kill anybody? Did you steal from someone? And his answer would have to be, no, I didn't. If he couldn't answer those questions, then he couldn't pass over. This is the way that history goes. Now, surely you can see the kinness to that and the 10 Commandments that are in the Bible or the Torah, or what developed those commandments. Same commandments. Only difference is that now it's not dealing with the hierarchy. It's not dealing with just the pharaohs and the people above the people below. It's dealing with the common man. It says to the common man, don't kill. Because the common man, they say, don't have the strength. The common man don't have the strength to understand the word enough not to do that. So they instruct the common man, don't kill, don't steal, don't do these, don't do that. Got a whole list of them. But yet when Esau came, in the same ideology, same philosophy, when Esau came in that same philosophy, he said you only need 2 commandments. 2. He said you only need 2 out of all those commandments. You only need 2. He says, love God, love Allah as you love, as you with all your heart and all your soul, and love your brother as you love yourself. 2 commandments. Summing up all of the other commandments. Look at the religious value in that. Look at the religious value in that. The religious value says that if you love Allah with all your soul, that means you cannot go put anything else up for your God. Money will never be your God. Sex will never be your God. None of these other things will ever be your God. Everything will fall into place. Power will take a back seat to your belief. Fame will take a back seat. And then if you love your brother, which we talk about all men, as you love yourself, how then could you possibly steal? You can never steal, because to steal you got to take something from somebody else. If you're not taking it from somebody else, it's yours anyhow. Only way you can steal is to take something from someone else. You cannot steal from yourself. You can cheat yourself. Now, not following the things necessary to make a better person out of yourself. But you cannot steal from yourself. So with that, we want to take a short pause. من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. You know, we sent out a call here at Masjid Al Hadi. A couple of times we wanted to talk about, we always talk about sadaqah because we need more sadaqah, more money to keep the lights on. We'd like to freshen up the masjid. We'd like to get a new carpet. We'd like to, do some things here, make it a little more comfortable, a little more applicable to your personalities and what you like. You like things to be like your home. You like things to be nice. But over and above that, we put forth some ideas. One was we're going to start a 501c3 to go out and to be able to help the needy and help ourselves, but help the needy. And we suggested too that we should be looking at ways to do that. The idea of buying an old warehouse and turning that into, do you know people buy warehouses and turn them into apartments? They buy warehouses and turn them into business areas. They buy warehouses and turn them into storages. You know that whole idea about the storage, that you store your things here, started with a garage. A person just started renting out their garage and look at turning a multi-million, billion-dollar business. But we can do that. We don't have to leave this masala. This could be our masala. But we can get us a warehouse somewhere, put a food pantry in it. We could put store meats, put a grocery area in it. We could put clothing in it. We could put businesses in it. And we could put educational facilities in it. We can teach young people how to become mechanics, how to become not necessarily engineer like in college, but get them on the way. We can teach them how to become electricians. We can teach them how to become plumbers. We have that expertise right here. We have expertise right here in this masala, in this masjid, in this ummah. We have the expertise to teach electricity, so a person become an electrician. We have the expertise for mechanic, carpenters. We have professional welders. We have it here. Why don't we sometimes think about pooling our resources? Not just our money, but money too, we can get money. But pooling our resources, our talents, to help straighten the streets out, to help the young people who are going on a course that they're going in a collision to disaster. We have that power, but we have to trust it. Do we trust that we can change the streets? I'm just talking about us here. I'm not saying we need another 100. I'm not saying we need to go out here and get all the rest of the Muslims in the country to come in. I'm not saying that. I'm saying here, these numbers we have right here. 50, 75 people. That's a whole lot of people. Most movements start with one. Then somebody else catch on. Then you get maybe 2, 10. 10 people can really do something. Now, in closing, that's a move. Sometimes when you talk about that kind of work, people say, well, I really didn't come to do no work like that, man. I came to pray. But if you understand prayer, when the brother said, Hayya Salah, Hayya Falah, he's talking about come to work. Come to work. Success, all the way you will get to be successful is work. Work. And it depends on the kind of work you're doing. We're talking about the work that Allah talks about in this Quran. And we want to think about some of those things. And we have a list of people we start calling. We have a couple of things we start now feeding the people on Saturday. We have that going. We have a couple other things going. Think about these things. Think about the talents you have. And we got young people in our masjid right here. We need to be teaching them how to become electricians. Creating jobs for them. So they won't have to go ask nobody for a job. They can create their own jobs. We need to invest our time and our money back into our community. Make what we have here strong. Some of us here, some of you are very good businessmen. Teach the business skill. Some of the young people like to go into business, but they don't know the ins and outs. They don't know you can't do that and you can't do this. If you want to build a good business, you must put this first. You must set priorities. You can teach those skills. Business skills are taught. You either self-taught, meaning that you were into the business, you went the hard way on your own, and you just learned from the ground floor up how to run your business, or someone taught you. Come on in here and let me show you how to do this. And at the time they was probably teaching you the business, you probably didn't want to be in the business. Oh, God, I got things to do. But those business became to be very important. Skills we have. Some of you are very good in the language, in the Arabiya. Although we have an Arabiya class, you can also help teach in the Arabiya class. Make the Ummah stronger. Don't think because we're all sitting here we're strong. No. We get people coming here all the time saying, I need some money for the stay tonight. I need somewhere to do this tonight. We get that all the time. And we have people in our own Ummah here who's unemployed. We have to work with that issue. We have to work with that idea and concept and do it ourselves. We can't wait for someone else to do it. Not if we trust in Allah and believe that Allah can have us do all we need to do for us to stand up Hanif. Be Hanif, upright. So we thank Almighty Allah for blessing us to be here this day on Jumu'ah. We thank Allah for waking us up so we can be here. And we thank Allah for waking us up to the truth of this Quran. We ask Allah to give us the best of this world and of the hereafter and protect us from the fire. He comes on.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan